All right, everybody, welcome back from break. So in this segment, which is segment 2 of session 3, we're going to learn about how business management solutions through Microsoft 365 provide people with a secure, personalized desktop experience and help organizations easily manage updates for all their devices in a really simplified admin experience. So let's get started. All right, so let's continue with our exploration of Microsoft 365 apps and services. So this is segment 2 of 2. In this session, what we want to explore is endpoint modernization, management concepts, as well as deployment options for Microsoft 365 and their analytic capabilities. So learning objectives here are learning about business management solutions through Microsoft 365, providing people with a secure, personalized desktop experience, and helping organizations easily manage updates for all devices with a simplified management or admin experience. Ultimately, after this session, you should be able to describe endpoint management capabilities in Microsoft 365, describe the differences between Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop, describe the deployment and release models for Windows as a service, and describe the deployment methods and update channels for Microsoft 365 apps. Let's dig in. So these are some of the solutions that can help manage and protect and monitor all your organization's endpoints. So these endpoints are considered physical devices that connect to a network system, such as mobile devices, desktop computers, virtual machines, embedded devices, and servers. So these solutions can help your organization solve the challenge of device management in today's mobile and remote network environment. So let's dig into a few of these in a bit more depth. When we're talking about Microsoft Intune, what is it? Well, it's a cloud-based unified endpoint management solution. So what does that mean? Well, it's an MDM. It's an MDM, but it also does MAM, which is mobile application management. So what it does is it manages user access and simplifies its app and device management across your many devices. And so that includes mobile devices, desktop computers, virtual endpoints. You can protect access and data on organizational owned and personal devices as well. So what's really cool about that is, like I just said, the data on the organizational owned device as well as users' personal devices is still protected. So you can still protect that organizational data. Microsoft Intune supports Android open source project, iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and Windows client devices. And it integrates with other services including Entra ID, on-premise configuration manager, mobile threat defense apps, and services. So Windows 32, custom line of business apps, and more. Intune has compliance and reporting features that support a zero trust security model. Now, getting into the zero trust security model would take a lot more effort than I have time for today, but we can definitely touch on it at another point. Zero trust is a security model consisting of 3 guiding principles: verify explicitly, use least privilege access, and assume breach. So moving on, we'll talk about the other options that are available here. We've got Configuration Manager. So Configuration Manager is an on-premise management solution to manage desktops and servers and laptops and that are on your network or internet-based. So you can use Configuration Manager to manage data centers, apps, software updates, operating systems. You can cloud enable it to connect directly with Intune, as well as Entra ID, and Microsoft 365 Defender and other cloud services. So essentially it can be interconnected and really kind of illustrates that hybrid approach. So this helps with OS deployment as well as software updates. Now, co-management. Co-management combines your existing on-premise configuration manager investment with the cloud-based features in Intune. So that includes using the web-based Endpoint Manager Admin Center, which is the Intune admin center essentially, and it helps you unlock more cloud-powered capabilities like conditional access. Now, conditional access we'll definitely touch on in a later module, but that's a really powerful functionality that you're going to want to look into. So co-management enables you to concurrently manage Windows 10 or later devices by using both Configuration Manager and Microsoft Intune. There's also the tenant attach approach, which is if you need to manage that combination of both cloud and on-premise endpoints, you can use Cloud Attach to use both Intune and Configuration Manager. And Cloud Attach consists of tenant attach, co-management, and endpoint analytics. Now, tenant attach sets up synchronization between your Configuration Manager site and your Intune tenant. And this synchronization provides you with a single view for all your devices that you manage from Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Endpoint Analytics, that's a cloud-native feature or service, that provides metrics and recommendations on the health and performance of your Windows client devices. So Endpoint Analytics is part of the Microsoft Adoption Score, and these analytics give you insight for measuring how your organization is working and the quality of the experience you're delivering for your users. So if you're looking to just understand how your endpoints are behaving in your organization, this will definitely help you, and it can help identify policies or hardware issues as well that are slowing down devices and help you, be the hero that comes in and saves the day before the user working on their giant Excel spreadsheet complains that it's crashing. Windows Autopilot. Now, this is often one that I get a lot of questions as a fast track architect. Windows Autopilot is a cloud-native service that sets up and pre-configures new devices, so getting them ready for use. You can use Windows Autopilot to reset and repurpose and recover devices, but it's essentially designed to simplify the lifecycle of Windows devices for both IT and end users. So you can use Autopilot to pre-configure devices automatically and have them auto-join Entra ID or enroll devices in Intune automatically. So what's really fun about this is that you work with your supplier to send the device directly to the user, and when the user logs in the first time, they enter in their user principal name and password, and it'll automatically configure itself. Now, Entra ID, as it's now known. Every time I say that, somebody is shaking their head at me, but Azure Active Directory, as it was once known, is now Microsoft Entra ID, and it's a cloud-native service that's used by Intune to manage the identities of users and devices and groups. So the Intune policies you create are designed to target these users, devices, or groups. And when the devices are enrolled in Intune, your users sign into their devices with their Entra ID accounts. Now, Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Now, this admin center is a one-stop website, a one-stop shop, essentially, to add users and groups and create and manage all these crazy policies that are monitoring your policies and reporting on those policies and reporting that data. And so you use that when you're in a tenant attach or co-management scenario, as well as if you're just Intune joined directly, right? So you can manage all the policies and push those configurations out to those devices. So moving on, let's talk about Azure Virtual Desktop. So as organizations move towards remote work and cloud-based solutions such as Windows 365 and AVD, or Azure Virtual Desktop, those have become really strong, powerful tools for improving productivity and granting remote access to applications and data, all behind a secure pipeline. So Windows 365 and AVD are both virtual desktop solutions known as Desktop as a Service, or DaaS. Both these solutions allow you to experience Microsoft's client operating system, Windows. So Windows 11 is the current version and is built on the same foundation as Windows 10, but offers further enhancements such as universal search, accessibility features, desktop personalization, PC, phone syncing, and much more. So one of the interesting enhancements that will be available in Windows 11 editions coming out is Windows Copilot, which is a centralized AI assistant. And you can use Windows Copilot for a range of questions, to rewrite, summarize, explain content, or help personalize your PC to get more done. So it'll help standardize a nice approach to getting that integrated approach with a nice large language model built right into your desktop with you. So Windows 365 and AVD allow your end users to experience all these features of Windows from anywhere with internet connection. So as long as they have a compatible device, essentially, they can connect to their Windows 365 or virtual desktop instance and experience all these solutions if you've deployed them. So while these solutions offer similar functionality, there are some differences. So let's take a deeper dive into each of the solutions. So Windows 365 in particular is a cloud-based service that automatically creates a new type of Windows virtual machine, which are known as cloud PCs. So these are specifically tied to an end user. So you deploy Windows 365, you tie it to an end user, that's their desktop. Now, Windows 365 introduces a new way to experience the Windows client to organizations of all sizes. So you can securely stream a full Windows experience, including all the apps, data, and settings from the Microsoft Cloud to any personal or corporate device. And now Azure Virtual Desktop is a modern and secure desktop app virtualization solution that runs in the cloud. So Azure Virtual Desktop allows users to connect to a Windows desktop running in the cloud, and it's the only solution that delivers multi-session on Windows. So AVD gives you that ability to access your desktop applications from pretty much anywhere. One thing to note is that Azure Virtual Desktop on Surface lets you run virtual desktop infrastructure on a Surface device, and AVD on Surface blurs the lines between the local desktop experience and the virtual desktop. So where touch, pen, ink, and biometric authentication span both that physical and virtual environment. So some really cool stuff you can do with Surface at that front. So let's talk about the Windows client. So what is the Windows client? And let's describe a little bit about the deployment and release models for Windows as a service. So Windows Client is a comprehensive desktop operating system that allows you to work efficiently and securely. And it's important to keep the desktop operating system up to date, essentially because it helps the device run efficiently and also stay protected. So let's talk about the different servicing release types. So with Windows Client, there are two release types. We've got feature updates as well as quality updates. Now, feature updates add new functionality and are released twice a year. Because these updates are more frequent, they're quite smaller. Quality updates provide security and reliability fixes, and these updates are issued once a month. So as non-security releases or combined security and non-security releases. So sometimes it's just not a security release, it's just a bug fix. And other times it is a security release as well as including some non-security bugs fixes. Now, non-security releases allow IT admins to do early validation of the content, and so that allows them to check if the content's going to cause an impact on their environment and just double check those aspects. Now, a cumulative update is a release which includes all the previous updates. So when you see that cumulative update come out, you don't have to worry about installing everything up to a certain point. It's already there included in the cumulative update. There's also different servicing channels. So servicing channels are ways to separate users into deployment groups for feature and quality updates. There are 3 service channels. Each channel provides different levels of flexibility for when these updates are delivered to client computers. There's the Windows Insider program, and so that provides organizations with the opportunity to test and provide feedback on features that will be shipped in the next feature update. So this is a really great way to see what's coming out and also provide your impact and provide your feedback on the product and help influence its changes. General availability channel. This receives new functionality with feature update releases annually, and this model is ideal for pilot deployments and testing of feature updates. There's also the LTSC, which is the long-term servicing channel, and it's designed for specialist systems and devices that don't run Office apps such as medical equipment or ATMs. So these devices typically perform a single task and don't need frequent updates compared to other devices in an organization. So let's talk about deployment rings. Deployment rings are a deployment method used to separate devices into a deployment timeline. So each ring comprises of a group of users or devices that receive a particular update together. So a common ring structure uses 3 deployment groups. You've got your preview, which is for planning and deployment, limited, which is for pilot and validation, and broad, which is for wide deployment. Now, deployment methods. If we dive into the deployment method approach, we're looking at the idea of successfully deploying Windows in your organization. And it's important to understand that there are different ways that it can be deployed. So there are 3 types of deployment methods. We've got the modern deployment method, the dynamic deployment method, as well as the traditional deployment method. So let's dig into the modern deployment method. So while we're looking at that, it kind of grasps both the traditional on-premise and cloud services to deliver a streamlined and cost-effective deployment experience. So we're talking Windows Autopilot or the in-place upgrade sort of approach there. Now, a dynamic deployment method enables you to configure applications and settings for specific use cases without having to deploy a new custom organizational image to each device. So subscription activation, Entra ID activation, so joining it to Entra ID, automatic mobile device management, enrollment, things like that, or provisioning a package for configuration. And then there's also the traditional deployment method, which uses existing tools to deploy operating system images, like a new computer or a computer refresh or replace scenario. So stepping into the deployment method approach, when we're talking about Microsoft 365 apps, they can be installed individually by a user on their devices, but it's often beneficial to manage the updates and deploy a customized selection of the apps to users' devices, really just ensuring that all users have the apps that they need. So when we're talking about update channels, let's dig into that a little bit more, as Microsoft 365 apps is a product that provides new and updated features for Office apps regularly. So you can control how often those users in your organization get those apps and how often they get those new features. So by specifying the update channel as needed, you can provide each update channel with 2 other types of updates that are released every month. So we've got a bit of flexibility here that we'll talk about in a bit more detail. So we've got security updates. So these are updates that help just keep Office protected from potential malicious attacks. Now, there's also non-security updates, which are quality updates. So those are updates that provide more stability or performance improvements to Office. How updates are installed for Microsoft 365 apps. There aren't separate downloads for feature security or non-security updates. The updates are cumulative. So the most current update includes all the updates that have been previously released for that update channel. So while updates are being downloaded, your users can continue to use Office apps, and after they're downloaded, all the available updates for that update channel will install at the same time. So if any Office apps are open, your users will be prompted to save their work and close the apps so that the updates can finish installing. Learn how the analytics capabilities through Microsoft 365 help people build better work habits, and business leaders improve the employee experience and business outcome with data-driven insights and reports. So after completing this learning objective, you'll be able to describe how Viva Insights help people and organizations work smarter and achieve balance in work-life relationship and how everything works together in that sense. Describe the capabilities of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and User Portal, and describe the reports available in Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the other different admin centers. So let's dig right into it. Talking about personal insights. So these are insights that only you can see that help you identify opportunities to help improve your well-being and boost your productivity. Now, that is specific to you. It is protected. Only you can see these insights. So this helps you understand teamwork habits. So it gives you much needed visibility into work habits that might lead to burnout or stress. And then you can also see organizational trends, which help qualifying managers and business leaders see how their work culture is affecting aspects of employee well-being and productivity. So let's dive deeper into what personal insights do for you. So Viva Insights in Microsoft Teams and on the web lets you see your personal well-being, stay connected, protect time, effective meetings, inspiration library, and the Viva Insights through email gives you a daily briefing as well as insights in the Outlook add-in. So what do team insights look like? So let's go back 1 second here. So when we're talking about personal insights, what does that mean? So yeah, it gives you access to these personal well-being sort of approaches, right? And it talks about protecting time and things like that. It gives you just analytics that help you understand how you are working in your day-to-day. So Are you responding to emails outside of working hours? Are you staying connected to the people that you should be connected to? Are you protecting your time effectively? Are you scheduling focus time so you can get deep work done? Are you keeping an eye on your meetings? Are they being effective? Is there an agenda? Things like that. It just provides you with some insight into how you're currently working and drive improvement in that sense. Now, if we're looking at team insights, so teamwork habits provide key recommendations and actions. So acting on tasks you promised to get done or that team members asked you to complete. So this allows you to see allows you to see important emails that you might have missed and documents from team members that you haven't read. So it kind of gives you a call out that lets you see that. It also sets up automatic scheduling of one-on-one time with your team or rescheduling if a conflict comes up. So you can kind of hand off that busy work so that Viva takes care of that for you. This also helps you view and consider changes for quiet hours. And also lets you see your team meeting habits. So, setting team norms, shared plans, no meeting days, things like that. So organizational insights, that helps managers and leaders understand how their organization is succeeding, essentially. So employee well-being, meeting effectiveness, manager connection. So it gives leaders better understanding of how their work is impacting the overall employee morale, as well as the business all up. Let's talk about the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So the Admin Center is where you can manage your Microsoft 365 subscription. And to access the Admin Center, you just have to go to admin.microsoft.com. Now you sign in with your admin account. So that could be your personal account. You might have to PIM, you might have to do a bunch of different things, but by default, you log into admin.microsoft.com with your global admin account. Now, the Microsoft 365 Admin Center has two views. There's a simplified view as well as a dashboard view. You can switch between these two views. The simplified view helps smaller organizations manage their most common tasks, like managing users, subscriptions, teams, things like that. And the dashboard view includes a more complex, settings and tasks sort of approach, right? So you can also customize the dashboard by adding tile cards and tasks for things that you perform frequently. The Microsoft 365 user portal, however, users can sign in directly through www.office.com or from portal.office.com. And only the apps the user has licenses for will appear there. So the portal allows for quick, easy viewing and editing of files saved online through OneDrive. Also, just a note that the Office app recently changed names. It's now called Microsoft 365 app. So when you go and log into Microsoft 365 or office.com or portal.office.com, you'll see Microsoft 365 now. So what's something that an admin would care about when it comes to managing a SaaS application like Microsoft 365? Well, insights, how are employees using Microsoft 365 apps and services? So let's look at these reports. What kind of reports are available? What kind of analytics we can get out of this? First of all, you do need to have admin permissions to be able to view these reports. So to access the Admin Center, make sure you do go to admin.microsoft.com and sign in with your global admin account. Alternatively, you can also access the Microsoft 365 Admin mobile app. So you can use the Microsoft 365 Usage Analytics report through Power BI as well to get more insights on how your organization is adopting the various apps and services within Microsoft 365. And you can visualize and analyze Microsoft 365 usage data and create custom reports and share the insights within your organization. You can also gain insights into how specific regions or departments are using Microsoft 365. So it's a lot of really good information there that'll help you understand where things are sitting within your organization. So the reports that are available in other admin centers gives you access to, a ton of different visibility and metrics that are available for the different services or different products, such as Exchange, Teams, and more. So you can access those admin centers because they're going to be under their own admin center essentially through admin.microsoft.com, and then select the appropriate admin center for the service that you want to look at. So each of these specialist admin centers gives you more options for specific areas, including reports. So the following describes kind of a really high level view of what kind of reports might be available within each of these individual admin centers. So if we're talking about, let's say, security, right? So Microsoft 365 Defender, that would be security.microsoft.com. In this admin center, you can view information about security trends, track the protection status of your identities, the different protection status of that data, devices, apps, infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. When we're talking about compliance, so Microsoft Purview, so that's compliance.microsoft.com. There we can see statuses on trends for compliance, Microsoft 365 devices. So really focused on that Purview aspect, which would be the compliance of your organization. Endpoint Manager. This one you can see reports through Microsoft Intune and endpoint compliance. So are your devices healthy? Do they have all their updates? What are the trends in your organization? And so to find that, it's endpoints.microsoft.com. Entra ID. So to view activity reports, which include registration and usage. So these reports help you understand the behavior of users in your organization. So like registrations and sign-ins. And of course, Exchange Online. These will show you reports on mail flow, how your organization and your mailbox migration structure is going. If you're in the process of migrating to Exchange Online, you'll be able to see reports on your batches that are created for your organization there as well. And SharePoint. So SharePoint Online, this admin center allows you to see reports on security and compliance of your data within SharePoint. So these reports include, links that have been shared, potential oversharing, sensitivity labels that have been applied to files, and then monitoring for sensitive content. Teams gives you a usage report on insights and information on Teams usage, as well as those usage patterns. Like, how are your users using Teams? Are they making phone calls, or are they just doing impromptu, meetings within Teams directly? So a lot of really great, interesting reports that are available across those different admin centers. So just keep in mind that it depends on what you're looking for specifically. If you're looking for information about user behavior, then you might want to check Entra ID first. If you're looking for device status, Endpoint Manager would be the right place to look first. It depends on the report that you're trying to get to. So let's kick off a demo here where we're going to dive into an exploration of the admin center and some of the different functionalities that are available there. Okay, so in this demo, we'll look at features of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we'll walk through how to manage your dashboard, view a variety of admin tools, tasks, reports, and the other admin centers available. We kind of lightly touched on that in the previous Explore Microsoft 365 Tenant demo, but we're just going to touch on this in a bit more depth here. So what we'll do is we'll open up our browser and we'll go to admin.microsoft.com. And then on the home page here, what we can do is start customizing a bit of our dashboard. So if we click on Dashboard View up at the top right, these are different views that are available for administrators within a Microsoft 365 tenant. So typically, when we're looking at a Microsoft 365 Business Premium tenant, we'll always start in the simplified view, which typically shows us all of the most important, most common tasks that an administrator would have inside of a Microsoft 365 Business Premium tenant. So things like the users, teams, subscriptions, items to go to learn, and things, and suggestions to improve the organizational configuration, things like that. If we go to Dashboard View, however, now we get into a more customizable approach where we can add and customize our own cards and things like that. So what we can do down at the bottom, first of all, it's telling me, we should finish setting up our Business Premium. I'm just going to ignore that because for this portion, I don't really need to go through that, but that is something that you can do, and it's a guided approach to getting your deployment established. In this case, what I want to do is, let's say I'm already good to go. I got everything set up. I can see the different cards that are available here. So I've got a Microsoft Teams card, user management, billing, threats and antivirus, some training guides and assistance, as well as 365 apps with a little bit of information around their configurations. I can also add additional cards. So let's say I want to add a Azure AD card, or let's go with domains, let's go with Intune device. Let's just add all the cards, why not? Let's just see what that looks like. It'll make our dashboard very, very occupied, but at the same time, maybe that's what I want. So let's go and take a look after we've done that. And we can see now that the dashboard has added a bunch of different information. So we've got Intune device enrollment, Protect Data and mobile apps. We've got our setup, how our service is set up, and some suggestions around that. We've also got service advisories that are currently active, a bunch of different unread messages within the message center where there might be some reporting going on. We've also got active users and kind of a visibility into our tenancy and what's being used at the moment. There's a bunch of different options here that we can go and expand on. And so this dashboard lets us customize it. So let's say I really am, I'm a device manager and I want to make sure that my Windows updates are always applied and up to date. So I can go here and make sure that that card is on the top, and then the next one over that I really care about is, say, billing. So we can reorganize this and remove cards as we want by just clicking on the ellipsis and saying remove. We don't have to keep the cards. We can remove all the cards if we want and just have nothing on there if we want it. It's really up to you. You can customize the experience to your own desire as an administrator. Now, some of the interesting admin tasks that we can look at is on the left-hand side, which we kind of touched on before. The little hamburger icon here, the navigation menu, we can click on this and see how it expands into additional items inside the admin center. This we can also say show all, because by default it's just showing us pinned content, which we can customize as well. So I could say add security, compliance, and endpoint manager, because those are the three that I care about. And you can see as they get pinned to the top under admin centers here. Or we could remove them and then they just get hidden by default when we're showing only pinned. So it depends on your style, how you want to handle it. Another option within here from an admin perspective is if we're looking under billing, we can also unpin billing if it's something that we don't care about or we do care about, then we want to have it really top forefront. We can also look at information around reporting. We can look at information around support. So if you're looking to go and place a support ticket, we have that option here under support, where we can deep dive and start looking at additional information around current support cases and things like that. And we'll touch on that a bit farther along. When we're looking at reporting, though, this is one of the interesting aspects of the admin center, is we've got two really interesting reports here. One of them is the adoption score. And so adoption score lets us, gives us insights into our organization's digital transformation journey. And that's through use of Microsoft 365 and the technology experiences that support it. So usage report is another alternate report that gives us a different view. However, this one might be really interesting as you're rolling out your adoption, right? If you're starting to adopt Microsoft 365 in your organization, then this will help you track how is it going? You've just released Teams. You've allowed people to create their own teams. Are they actually doing it? How does that teamwork look? When are people sharing information? How are they sharing it? So this gives you that visibility into your use case and how the organization is actually taking advantage of the product. From a usage standpoint, now this gets into a more detailed usage report based on your actual individual products. So here you can see, so usage reports helps us see how our employees are using the different services and how they're tied to the Microsoft 365 subscription. So we can really deep dive and start drilling into individual services. Like let's say we want to look at, for instance, OneDrive. So we want to see, how many accounts do we have that are enabled for OneDrive? What is their current file limits? This is obfuscated by default, and that's something that you can enable to see actually the owner principal name if you wanted to. But that's also a compliance issue if it does come up. So might be just some considerations to make there. Talk to the appropriate people in the organization. But from an account, files, and storage perspective, we've got visibility into seeing how storage is being used and what that looks like. So obviously this is a test tenant, and so I'm not using very much storage in my OneDrive account or accounts across the 24 users that are part of this tenant. So additionally, there are additional admin centers on the left-hand side here. We can see there's security, compliance, endpoint manager, identity, which we touched on previously. There's the Exchange Online Admin Center, SharePoint, and Teams. Now, one thing to call out really quickly is just that the SharePoint Admin Center also covers the OneDrive portion of the administration aspect. So just keep that in mind as you're walking through your configurations, but that's how you can view your admin centers. So in this demo, what we explored were the features of Microsoft 365 Admin Center and how to manage our dashboard, how to view our admin tasks and reports and other admin centers that are available. All right, everybody, this concludes part 1 of the virtual training day. So let's recap all of the content that we've seen so far, and we've touched on many topics, definitely drinking from the fire hose here. What is Microsoft 365 was a major topic that we touched on, as well as the productivity solutions that were available in Microsoft 365, like the Office apps and OneDrive and SharePoint. We touched on collaboration solutions as well in Microsoft 365, like Teams, Outlook, and Yammer, and Viva Engage, and all that kind of great stuff. We also looked at some baseline knowledge around cloud computing and how it enables us to access our data and services from anywhere. We talked about the benefits of using cloud services, such as scalability, reliability, security, amongst other things. And we also discussed different types of cloud services, like software as a service, or platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service, and understanding how those all relate and which one to choose given the situation. We also looked at endpoint modernization, where we talked about management concepts and deployment options in Microsoft 365. We touched on all the different analytic capabilities as well that are available in Microsoft 365, such as Power BI, My Analytics, and Workspace Analytics. So just want to thank you for your attendance so far, and we look forward to seeing you in part 2 of this Microsoft 365 virtual training day, where we're talking about Microsoft 365 fundamentals. So see you soon.